Hi, thank you for being here today. Of course, we are here for Jasmine Stone's Triennial IEP. Jasmine is 11 now and in the 5th grade. I am Sarah Osborne, her special education teacher. And to get us started and a little bit acquainted, I would like to go around the room and I will introduce us and say our title. And then I would love it if each of us could just give a really brief explanation of the role we play in Jasmine's education and the role that we will play in today's meeting. What information will we bring today to today's meeting? So like I said, I am Sarah, her special education teacher. So Jasmine is with me for most of the day, every day, and I deliver all of her instruction in English language arts and math and all of her adaptive skill instruction. So I will have data on those areas. So next we have Kay Stevens, Jasmine's general education teacher. Kay, will you please let us know what you are bringing to the table today? Thank you. And then next we have Brittany Meyer, Jasmine's speech therapist. Brittany? Thanks, Brittany. Then we have John Phillips, Jasmine's occupational therapist. John? Thanks, John. Then we have Linda Thompson, our school's guidance counselor. Thank you, Linda. Next, we have Chris Kearns. He is our principal, and he is acting as our LEA representative today. Thank you, Chris. And we have Diane Brown, Jasmine's personal nurse. Diane, please let us know what role you play in Jasmine's education. Thank you, Diane. And of course, Mom and Dad, Mary Stone and James Stone. Mary and James, we would love to start out with any concerns, any input. How is Jasmine doing at home? What is the outcome you would like to see of the meeting today? Are there any initial concerns you would like to present? Go ahead and let us know. Okay, so now I would love to move on to Jasmine's present levels of academic achievement, and I have them here on my iPad. I have our IEP pulled up, and so we will start. I'll go category by category. So in cognitive performance in her academic subjects, in English language arts, Jasmine is performing very well currently. She's continuously receiving A's on all of her spelling tests, and she's been able to advance higher and higher to the next list each week with E's. She's also doing very well in grammar and shows a great grasp on her verbs and her adverbs and nouns. Jasmine is forming great complete sentences. She's showing no difficulty there. Her reading is almost at grade level right now. Like, it is basically at grade level, and she's retaining all of what she reads, and she's able to answer some pretty complex questions about the text that she has read. She is still struggling in math with her, even just her basic addition and subtraction, anytime regrouping is involved. So we're having a hard time advancing past that. And then, of course, in math, that frustrates her because we all know that Jasmine is a perfectionist. She doesn't like to do poorly. So that is frustrating her. And then she throws her Jasmine tantrums. And if we were able to surpass that, I think we could start to go a little farther in math. And then in science and social studies, which she spends with Miss Stevens, her general education teacher. So, Kay, go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. She's showing great strides in those subjects because of her high reading ability. She's really retaining most of what's in science and social studies. She's retaining the information, and so she's able to answer the questions, and she's doing really well. Moving on to her physical skills, her gross motor and her fine motor. She is showing a lot of progress in holding her fork and feeding herself when she wants to. But she's making great strides there. She's still exclusively using her Proloquo or Spelling City to write or type. We aren't using any adaptive pens or pencils. It's just taking too long. We also aren't using her adaptive keyboard because it's in the opposite order of her Proloquo keyboard, and so that frustrates her because the letters aren't where she thinks they are supposed to be. But she's doing great with her fork, and she's doing great with the Proloquo and the Spelling City keyboard, as long as she wants to do the work that we're doing. Otherwise, she pretends she does not know how to use the program. Her vision is still fine with her corrective lenses. However, she does hold the iPad directly to her face, which is a slight cause for concern because we don't want to make her vision any worse. So that is something that will need to be addressed and talked about. Her communication, she is communicating very well using her Proloquo. When she wants to do it, she can communicate her needs just fine. When required to type out her sentences, she tries to express a lack of communication. She will refuse to use the program, and she will simply gesture and whine until she tries to get her way. So she can communicate. The communication skills are there. It's the wanting to skills that are holding her back. And so that brings us into her social and emotional behavior. She's not showing any social interest in any of the other students. So that is where we're at right now. She would rather sit on her iPad, and she is presently showing a really hard time controlling her emotions when she's not getting her way, when she doesn't want to do her work, or when she thinks she's getting the answers wrong. And one of the things that she has taken to doing lately is purposely trying to blow out her trach, because she knows, or she thinks, that that will send her to the nurse's office and she will get out of her work. And then her adaptive skills, she's showing great strides. Right now, she is driving her chair really well. She's remembering the directions, so knows how to get to the nurse's office, knows how to come back to the classroom, knows how to go to the principal's office, the cafeteria, etc. So she's showing great strides with that. She needs no help getting around the school other than, the guidance and the overseeing to make sure she doesn't run anyone over. She's great at feeding herself. She really needs no help with that, as long as she's not being stubborn. And her communication adaptive skills are coming through really well. When using her Proloquo, right now she could easily communicate with someone outside of the classroom who does not know her. So that sums it up. Are there any questions about any of those areas? Any questions, any concerns, any disputes about anything that I just listed here? Okay, thank you. Now we will move on to Jasmine's goals. Just a moment. All right, I have it. So the first goal I have here is for English Language Arts, specifically writing. And we would love to see Jasmine writing opinion pieces on topics or texts, supporting a point of view with reasons and information. We would love to see her do that, to write a full paragraph. So the specific goal, Jasmine will be able to write a fully formed paragraph that states her opinion with no more than 5 grammatical mistakes on her iPad with no assistance by March 2021. Are there any questions on this goal? Awesome. Our next goal is about math. The goal is, when given 50 mixed addition and subtraction problems, Jasmine will answer 40 out of 50 of the problems correctly by March 2021. So this goal, we really want to get that addition and subtraction down with the regrouping so that we can move on and start really working on her multiplication skills. We really want her to get over this hump this next year. Are there any questions about this goal? Okay, for personal and social development, we would love to see Jasmine spend 15 minutes directly interacting with peers each day by December 2020. So this one sounds very simple, but Jasmine does not want to do that. She would rather be by herself, so we would love to see Jasmine interacting with her peers for at least 15 minutes a day. Any questions or concerns about this goal? All right, and the last one we have here is personal and social development. Jasmine will communicate her needs using her Prolo quote instead of throwing a tantrum or making gestures 90% of the time by March 2021. So right now, as stated earlier, Jasmine chooses to communicate right now by immediately whining or throwing a tantrum or using gestures that typically turn into the tantrum. And so our main goal here is to get her to use the Prolo quo, to know that she communicates with the Prolo quo. And that is really to help her, because when she is communicating with others outside of the classroom, they don't know what the gestures mean. And that is what makes her frustrated, because she knows what she's saying and when someone doesn't pick up on it. So our goal here is for her to just use the Prolo quo, because she can and she's good at it. And so that is what we would like to see. As for the least restrictive environment, it has been decided that the least restrictive environment is still in the special education classroom for the majority of the day, going out with the general education teacher for science and social studies, and with the general education classroom to all specials, and to field trips that are accessible to Jasmine. This is still her least restrictive environment due to her medical needs and her needs of having a scribe and having someone there, and still some of the tantrums that she throws. If Jasmine shows improvement in her emotional and behavior control, then perhaps we could work on getting her out into the general education classroom for more subjects. I think that she is really capable of going out for reading, and so that is something that we could certainly work on if we are able to get her more willing to do her work. Are there any questions or concerns about her least restrictive environment and all that entails there? Awesome, thank you. Okay, so for the remainder of the meeting, how I would actively listen to all stakeholders and meet the needs of all stakeholders. I'll do the meet the needs first. So I think I would meet the needs of all stakeholders by actively listening. And by that, I mean, I would not be the only one sitting here talking. I would be having so much input, and if the parents ask a question that is not directly related to something that's happening in my classroom, of course I'm not going to answer that question. I would pass it on to the most relevant stakeholder, and I think that is what would meet the needs of everyone. But as far as actively listening, I think eye contact, just nods of understanding, and acknowledging, I hear you, I understand what you're saying, that is a good concern. And I think to say that you're actively listening means that the person feels actively heard. And so, I'm jotting this down. That's a great question. Let's see if we can find an answer. And of course, if there was anything that couldn't be resolved, or if the parents still felt like they had lingering questions, my go-to solution would be to invite them into my classroom, to welcome them into the classroom, to observe for themselves, ask them to come stay for a day or stay for a subject. They can come take notes. And I think that would be a great way for them to really see in real time, because talking about it is one thing, but seeing it in real time is another thing. And that is how I would actively listen and hopefully meet the needs of all of the stakeholders. Thank you.